Welcome back to another Spirit Island video. In this video, we're going to be talking about Volcano's power cards. So Volcano starts the game with 4 uniques: Lava Flows, Exaltation of Molten Stone, Rain of Ash, and Pyroclastic Bombardment. Starting off, Lava Flows. It's a Fire Earth 1 cost. It's slow, and this allows you to place a Badlands and a Wilds, or you may do 1 damage. And this card is great for just adding Badlands so that you can combine that with your left innate or pyro bombardment or any other damage dealing card that you pick up. I really like this card. I have no complaints. Exaltation of Molten Stone. It's a moon, fire, earth, 1 energy. Target another. Split 1 energy per fire you have between yourself and target spirit as evenly as possible. Target spirit gains +1 range from powers that originate from a mountain. So in multiplayer, this allows you to give out between 1 and 2 energy. Usually in the mid game, this becomes 2 to 3. And then very rarely are you going to see yourself giving away 4 energy. I think that'd be something like maybe like turn 11, turn 12. Basically, once your tracks are completely empty and you're playing, what is it? It would be 5 fire plus the 2 fire on track. So I guess the most you can have would be between 4, or I guess 3 and 4. Now, if you're playing solo, because you are the another spirit, this card is busted. It usually just gives yourself +2, +3, +4 energy, and then that +1 range for mountains is huge. You'll see this in my board selection video. I talk about the different boards, and there are some boards where there are lands that you just cannot reach. And basically taking this card for yourself will allow you to reach those lands. Rain of Ash, it's a 2 cost fire, air, earth. It's 2 fear if invaders are present, and then you get to push 2 Dahan and 2 buildings / explorers to lands without your presence. And this card, it's basically a wash away variant. Wash away is a card that River has that pushes stuff. It's the same thing, but this also has fear, and it costs a bit more. It does suck that you can't push the stuff into your lands with presence. There's going to be a lot of cases where you're going to want to push stuff into your volcano land with this card and then blow up your volcano the following turn, and you're not allowed to do that. I mean, thematically, it makes sense, right? Why are invaders running away from the ash towards the volcano? Mechanically, it's interesting. It creates an interesting puzzle, but it does have that limitation. Now, it is important to point out that Volcano's special rule, Volcanic Peaks, tower over the landscape. It says your power cards gain +1 range if you have 3 or more presence in the origin land, and that's going to be great at increasing the range of Rain of Ash from 1 range to 2 range, and that 2 range is really key. The last unique is Pyroclastic Bombardment. It's a 3 cost fire, air, earth. You deal 1 damage to each building and Dahan, then 1 extra damage, then 1 extra damage to Dahan. And this card is great at comboing with your special, your innate, to completely wipe out a land. Basically, you damage a bunch of buildings, and then you use your left innate to finish it off. Now, it does have that 2 range from a Sacred Site. That Sacred Site is really critical. I've made the mistake of forgetting that a couple times in some of my videos. Also, the +1 range from Volcanic allows this to have 3 range, and if it's 3 range, that allows you to hit most of the board. Now, a small little interaction between this card and Badlands. Very common rules mistake, and Badlands increases the damage by +1 per action. Okay, so an action would be like a single card or a single innate or a single special rule. Okay, so even though this card says 1 damage to each building, followed by 1 straight damage, followed by 1 damage, you don't get +1 damage for each line of text. It's just 1 damage for the entire card. And I believe there's an FAQ ruling where the player gets to decide which line of text gets the Badlands trigger. So just something to keep in mind. Now that we've finished talking about the cards, let's take a look at Volcano's elemental spread. So across your 4 uniques here, you're going to have 4 fire, 4 earth, 2 air, and 1 moon. And that 1 moon is on Exaltation. all of your cards have fire, earth, and then you have pyro and rain have the 2 air. Now, if you didn't have enough fire or mountain, well, you get 4 more fire or mountain, and those are on the tracks. In addition, you also get 1 air. We'll talk about the opening in the next video, but basically we're going to be running down this bottom track, and that's going to give us card plays as well as all of our flex elements, which are going to be great for thresholding majors, as well as hitting our left and right innate while playing off elements. So basically we're going to be able to hit these innates by not even playing the fire earth cards. It's pretty awesome. Now, you're going to notice we don't have sun, animal, plant, and water. We have none of those cards. So when it comes to picking up those majors, and thresholding those majors, we need to keep that in mind, because when we draft minors in the early game, we may want to draft some of these cards so that we can threshold the majors in the mid and end game. So, and I'll try to talk more about that while we're drafting in the playthrough videos, but really that's, I think, what separates a lot of the good Volcano players from the best Volcano players, is because their early drafts, they're drafting around these off element cards, so then the majors just immediately slot right into the Volcano's kit, thresholded. Let's now look at some events. Now, one of the reasons why I rate Volcano a bit lower is Volcano loses out on all of the good Dahan events. What do I mean by that? Well, I have them brought out over here. So, rouse the spirits. So each spirit with at least 3 Dahan amongst their lands may use a slow power now. This usually isn't that good, but there are some other ones like this one, Year's Little Rain, where you have to add a presence in a land with Dahan. Well, it's very rare that you're going to have your Volcano land or Dahan in your Volcano mountain land. So getting to proliferate off Year's a Little Rain just doesn't happen. There's some other cases like coordinated defense. When invaders ravage in a land with Dahan and your presence, defend 5. Once again, when is that happening, right? That just won't happen. Stuff like pattern and dance, gaining energy when you have presence and land with Dahan. Stuff like tell the old stories. You may gain a forgotten card or reclaim a unique power. And discard, or I guess it's reclaim a power card or regains a unique that it previously forgot. So there's just a ton of these Dahan based cards that you just don't get access to, just because you're not a. I mean, I'm not going to say you're not a Dahan spirit, because you do have the ability to push Dahan via Rain of Ash, and you have plenty of drafts to find a Dahan defend card. It's just you have a lot of cards that kill Dahan, so utilizing these events is fairly rare. You also lose out on cards like 1,000 Small Struggles. So it says for each board with 4 more buildings or for a few Dahan, add a Blight. So here's a card that's going to add Blight if you lose Dahan. And Volcano sometimes loses Dahan, and that's just because of your special rule, your innate, as well as Pyro. So you have 3 cards that kill Dahan. And once you drop below that 4 Dahan threshold, boom, Small Struggles hits you, and you end up taking a Blight. Hardworking Settlers, this is a card that I have just because Volcano doesn't have any defensive tools, and a lot of times you'll take Blight to scale, and Hardworking Settlers punishes non-defensive spirits with that top part where it says immediately ravage in a land with the most invaders matching the ravage card. So if you end up having a land that you're taking that Blight to scale, well, this card will punish you for it. And yeah, so I'll go through all of them, just hovering over for your viewing pleasure. I'm not going to go through any more of those. These are just cards that I tend to find to be pretty poor on Volcano. Yeah, losing out on Sacred Sites under threat as well. Won't be able to gain that minor card. It just sucks. Like, I love the mini game of playing around events, and Volcano doesn't get that mini game. So one of the reasons why I don't enjoy playing the Spirit that often. Let's now look at the minor cards here. And now these are just some minors that I find to be pretty effective on Volcano. I'm sure there's plenty more minors that are very good. Really, it's these Earth cards We really want the 3 Earth to hit that right innate restoring destroyed presence. You'll see in my openings guide how I like to approach Volcano in those early mid turns. I like doing small eruptions, so we always want to be hitting that right innate so that we're always restoring the destroyed presence. So drafting Earth cards really key. So Carapace Land, it's a defense 6, and we get +1 range via the left innate. So a defense 6 for free. Sign me up. Call to trade. It's a Ravage skip. It's also Earth. We have Call to Guard. It's a defend Earth. Gathers to Han. Constancy. Amazing. It's Earth. 2 energy. It's a reclaim. Sky Stretch, allowing us to make a slow power fast. Call to ISO. Just an amazing card. Dahan movement. Fast control. I know it has no Earth, but it's just a solid pickup here. Dark and Tangled Woods. Another defend. Renewing Rain. It's an odd element blight removal. Rolling Bog, just a solid pickup. It has that fire. It has an isolate, some fear. It's also a defensive card. It's free. Haunted, another defend. Living Energy, a support energy card. Sky's Herald, great. It says a spirit with presence on target board may add one of their destroyed presence to the land. You can use this to restore our destroyed presence because we're blowing up the volcano, we're erupting, killing invaders, using Sky's Herald to bring that destroyed presence back into your volcano. Hazard Spread, it's a perfect element card that can add Badlands or Wilds. I mean, it's just a phenomenal pickup for us. It's also free. Steam Vents, it's another perfect element card that will almost always destroy a town. And it says 0 range, but remember our volcano, so we get +1 range, so we can kill stuff in adjacent lands. Gift of Power, 0 cost support. Rouse, another 2 damage. Calms with Badlands, it's on element. Quicken, on element. It's a defend 10. It's at 0 range, but +1 range, once again, because of our volcano. Twin Days, just excellent at allowing ourselves to repeat our lowest cards. So, like if you grab Gifted Constancy plus Twin Days, you can throw out 2 constancies. It's I love that combo. We have Scour the Land, once again, another Earth card, destroy a bunch of towns and explorers, great into Russia, into France. And lastly, we have Nature's Res, Defense 6. And there's plenty of other pickups as well, but these are just some excellent minors that I love picking up on Volcano. Let's now look at the majors. Starting off at the very top here, and this is like my S, my A, my B tier, and also my C tier. And I'm not going to don't get too caught up in the exact location of the cards. This is just like rough estimates of where I'd put stuff. So this is like the cards that you're always looking for, right? You have your defend, you have your indom, allows you to kind of grow out of your mountain lands. It's a prolife. I mean, this card's amazing. It's Earth. Vigor is vigor. Spill bitterness. We get +1 range on this. It's also on element. That +1 range is huge. Rumbling Earthquake, very easy threshold on us. It's also on element. Power Storm, Infinite Vitality, it's on element. It's a blight removal. UG is UG. Forest, it's a 0 range, but oh wait, we get +1 range because of our volcano. So being able to hit adjacent lands, excellent. It's also on element. Trees on element, Dahan defend. Unleash, almost a very easy threshold. We're just missing that 1 sun, but also we get +1 range once again for that part where it says pay X energy to deal X damage. So you can make that at 1 range. Trees Radiate, just a very solid card. Defense 6, 3 fear. Instruments, a little bit more tricky to threshold this. We're missing a lot of sun, but you do have the energy and the card drafts and the card plays to threshold it. So Vengeance of the Dead, it's the 3 animal. Combine this with your eruption and you can kind of do this AoE clear. So you can kind of set up that eruption followed with the thresholded vengeance. I love Voice of Command. You have Paralyzing Fright, lots of fear, very easy threshold, and then Pyroclastic Flow, very easy threshold as well. I bet Voice, I bet Vengeance, Instruments, those can probably drop to the next tier. Probably Pent Up is higher rated than those. But like I said, I just quickly threw these cards together. Um, Walls, excellent defend. I mean, an insatiable, great card. Irresistible call, another solid card, allowing you to gather all the explorers and towns into a single land. You're going to have plenty of energy, so this card is very easy for you to play it. Pent up, perfect element card for us. Easy threshold. Bargains. This is another card that's very easy for us to threshold. Honestly, this is probably a card that should go up here. The big trouble with this card is targeting a land with two Dahan. So hopefully your Volcano is adjacent to a land with two Dahan, and then you'll easily be able to play this card. Spiders is a skip. Blazing, easy threshold, bring back presence. It's solid. The biggest problem with this card is your presence can only go in lands, only mountain lands, and mountain lands are usually the lands that you can easily deal with. So playing this card to wipe out one of your mountain lands, just it tends to just be terrible. Like you never need to use it on yourself, but using it on another player is where you can get a lot of value. I'm just kind of going through. We have Cast Down, Fire and Flood. This is the card I talk a lot of crap about, but Volcano easy can threshold it because your energy economy is so absurd. So paying 7 energy for this card, and you always get that fire threshold. So it's usually 12 damage for 7 energy, and yes, that's not good, but Volcano can still make it work. Same thing with Consuming Void. Volcano can also give Void at +1 range, which is busted. Um, Rapid Wings, Poison. We have some Thickets, Unlock, Entwine, and Sea Monsters. Solid cards. Once again, don't get caught up on the exact location. Looking at the next set of cards here. Talons, Bargains, Infestation, Wounded Wilds, and Dream. Dream might actually go up here because removing a lot of blight is it can be very good. Vanish, Fragments, Utter, Nightmares, Tsunami, Transformative, Angry Bears, and then we have Volcanic Eruption, basically the card that should be your card. I have it here. You might honestly, it could probably be up in this tier, really, but it's a very solid pickup. The threshold is very easy, though the biggest problem is just adding all of that blight. It hurts me so much whenever this card gets played. But I mean, it probably wins the game for a lot of spirits. And since you can threshold it, you have the energy, you have the card plays, you have the elements. It's probably a solid pickup. Bloodrack Plague, Land Thrashes, Accelerated Rod, Melt Earth, Dissolve, and Twisted. So just looking at this, I'd probably throw this up to here. I'd probably throw these up to here. Yeah, I'll probably do something like that. Dream might be up a tier higher. Under a Curse, now it's probably too low. I feel a little bit better about this. Um, and lastly, and this is another reason why I don't like Volcano, is there's a lot of cards that Volcano just can't play, and this is like your F tier, like literally the unplayable cards, right? Like you have cards that require jungle targeting, like just something that's never going to happen. There are some weird cases, like if you get Indom and you can grow into those lands that are off element or off land type, or maybe Entwine Power, or maybe a Weave, where you can then play these cards. But that's just if you're in a situation where you're doing a combo like that, you're so far ahead um, that you can afford to be playing 2 majors to play one of these majors down here, if that makes sense. Um, Grant Hatred, one of the worst majors in the game. Of course, it's down here. Savage Transformation, one of the worst majors in the game. It's also down here. Pillar of Living Flame. This might be a little bit higher just because the 4 fire is very easy threshold to hit. But I find this card to be pretty bad. Actually, let's move it up. It's probably better than some of the cards up here, like Accelerated Rot. Like at least this thing is going to be doing 10 damage and 5 fear. Yeah, no, it's definitely up here. I've talked myself to moving it up. Flocking, Tiger's Hunting, both are unplayable cards. Same with Jungle Hungers. Focus, just very weak card. I don't think I'll ever want this as Volcano. Manifest, another very medium card. The fact that it's zero range, targeting a land with cities, just I mean, it has the earth. Maybe it works, but I find this to just be a little bit on the weaker end. Death Falls, I guess it's very similar to accelerated rot, so it's probably a little bit higher up. It's probably not as bad as the ones down here. Sleep and Never Waken, a card we can't play. Transform into a Murderous Darkness, just a really weak card. A lot of your presents are all in a single land, and this would just outright kill you. Cleansing Flood, another card you can't play. Mists, just a very bad card. Strangling Firevine, another card you can't play. Settle into the Hunting Ground. It is very funny to have all your presents count as Badlands and Beasts, but it's just your presents are only in mountains, and once again, your mountain lands are the lands that you can easily deal with, so you don't need to double down on clearing out your mountains. Flow Like Water. You could push your presence, but your presence can't leave mountains. So really, you'd be playing this card for that extra range. And Storm Swath. And why is Storm Swath down here? Yeah, maybe I just got lazy and threw some cards down there. I mean, that's at least. It's probably in the middle. It's probably down here. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. In Sea Monsters, I have that over here in B tier just because you have so many card drafts and so many card plays. It's very easy to threshold this card or to draft the cards that can threshold it. So yep, these are all of the majors and how I rate them and the different majors that I'm looking for while playing Volcano. As I mentioned earlier, it's because of the events, it's because of these majors, and it's also because of the growth patterns and the general strategies why I tend to not play Volcano that much. I do like playing it more than some of the other spirits in the game, but it's definitely a spirit that I try to limit how much I play. So if you like this video, like, subscribe for more content. I'll see you guys in the next video.